The rifle no one heard, Britain's silent weapon of World War II. March, 1943. Vickers Armstrong Proving Grounds, Newcastle upon Tyne. A sandbag wall stands 50 yards downrange. Behind it, military observers, officers, engineers, and intelligence men watch closely. A British commando raises his weapon and fires. Once. Twice. 7 times. And yet, nothing. No sharp crack. No echo. No instinctive flinch from the men standing nearby. When questioned afterward, not a single observer identifies the sound as gunfire. One compares it to a child's air rifle. Another says it reminds him of a door being gently shut. What they had just witnessed was something no Allied nation had managed to achieve. A shoulder-fired weapon with rifle-level accuracy out to 200 yards, lethal stopping power, and a sound signature quieter than casual conversation. The Lisle Commando Carbine had just proven itself. And it would quietly change special operations warfare forever. The brutal reality of silent war. By 1942, British special operations faced a problem that could not be solved with courage or training alone. Men had to die quietly. Raids along occupied coastlines depended on surprise. Sabotage missions behind enemy lines allowed no margin for error. A single gunshot meant alarms, pursuit, capture, and often execution. Silence was not a luxury. It was survival. The weapons available at the time simply weren't enough. The limits of existing silenced weapons. The Welrod pistol, silent, but impractical. The Welrod was arguably the quietest firearm of the war. At close range, it was nearly inaudible. But it came with crippling limitations. Effective range, under 7 yards, accuracy beyond 15 feet, was unreliable. 7-round magazine rubber suppressor baffles degraded after 10 to 15 shots. It was an assassination tool, nothing more. 1 guard per weapon, per mission. Miss once, and the silence was broken forever. The silenced Sten, loud in all the wrong ways. The Sten MKIIS tried to bridge the gap between firepower and stealth. It failed. While its suppressor reduced muzzle blast, the weapon's open bolt design betrayed it. Every shot produced metallic clatter, springs compressing, steel sliding against steel. At 89.5 decibels, it was quieter than an unsuppressed weapon, but far from silent. In close quarters, the sound of the action was often louder than the shot itself. American silenced weapons, too weak to matter. American suppressor designs leaned heavily on .22 long rifle ammunition. Yes, they were quiet. But they lacked reliability and stopping power. At 50 feet, a .22 could kill, sometimes. But commandos couldn't afford sometimes. They needed certainty. The physics problem no one could escape. The fundamental issue wasn't suppressor design. It was ammunition. Supersonic bullets produce a sonic crack, a miniature sonic boom that no suppressor can eliminate. Once a projectile breaks the sound barrier, silence becomes impossible. 9 by 19 mm Parabellum. Supersonic .7.92 times 57 mm Mauser. Supersonic. Germany faced the same limitation and never solved it. Their experimental suppressors for the MP40 and Kar 98K remained curiosities, crippled by ammunition physics. Britain, however, had something different. They just didn't realize it yet. The accidental solution, .45 ACP. Hidden in British armories was a cartridge that solved the problem naturally. The .45 ACP. 230 grain bullet velocity, ~830 feet per second. Entirely subsonic. No sonic crack. No special loading. Standard military ball ammunition worked perfectly. And it was already in the supply system thanks to American Thompson submachine guns and Colt 1911 pistols. The solution existed. It just needed the right mind to recognize it. Enter William Godfrey de Lisle. William Godfrey de Lisle was not a military officer. He was not a weapons manufacturer. He was an engineer with an obsession. Born in South Africa in 1905, de Lisle began experimenting with suppressors as a teenager, fashioning crude devices from cocoa tins to quietly hunt rabbits with a .22 rifle. Over decades, his designs became more refined, more effective. When war came, de Lisle joined the Ministry of Aircraft Production. His suppressor expertise remained unknown, until rationing intervened. Poaching that changed the war. Meat shortages were severe in wartime Britain. To supplement his food, de Lisle built a suppressed .22 Browning pistol and quietly hunted rabbits on the Berkshire Downs, technically illegal, but discreet. One day, the weapon caught the attention of Major Sir Malcolm Campbell. Campbell was famous for land and water speed records, but more importantly, he worked under Lord Louis Mountbatten in combined operations. Campbell immediately understood what he was seeing. This wasn't a poaching tool. It was a weapon of war. The first demonstrations. De Lisle was summoned to Combined Operations Headquarters. Early 1943 demonstrations stunned observers. From the roof of the Adelphi building in London, de Lisle fired into the River Thames. Pedestrians nearby didn't react. At Wilkes Gunmakers near Piccadilly, he fired across the street at a chimney. Again, no reaction. The ministry released de Lisle for full-time weapons development. Building the impossible weapon. Why bolt action? De Lisle rejected semi-automatic designs immediately. Bolt action meant no cycling noise, no reciprocating mass-complete control over sound. The shooter decided when the weapon made noise, if at all. The Lee Enfield Foundation. He selected the short magazine Lee Enfield Mk3 as the base. Reliable. Available. Familiar. The action was shortened, the charger bridge removed, and the bolt face modified to accept rimless .45 ACP cartridges. The suppressor that changed everything. The suppressor was not an accessory. It was the weapon. 16 inches long, permanently integrated, massive internal volume. The barrel, cut from Thompson's submachine gun barrels, was only 7 to 7.25 inches of rifled length. Multiple gas ports vented propellant gases into the suppressor before the bullet exited, dramatically reducing pressure. Inside, 10 to 13 duralumin baffle spiral configuration, forcing gases to twist, and slow expansion chambers cooling gas to near ambient pressure. A specially shaped internal muzzle prevented vacuum collapse, eliminating the secondary pop common to suppressors. Some versions included felt, rubber, or asbestos sound-absorbing materials protected by thin brass liners. The result was unprecedented. The final result. Weight, 7 pounds 8 ounces unloaded length, 35.6 inches magazine, 7-round modified 1911 magazine's effective range, 200-yard sound level, 85.5 dB. Quieter than a vacuum cleaner. Lethal at rifle distances. Production in secret. Ford Dagenham built 17 handcrafted prototypes inside its tool room. Final assembly took place in the factory manager's air raid shelter. De Lisle worked alongside master craftsmen from Holland and Holland. In 1944, Sterling Engineering received a contract for 450 standard carbines, 50 airborne folding stock variants. The war would end before production could be completed. Combat use, when silence killed. France, 1943. Early units went to commandos raiding the occupied French coast. Reports came back quickly. Sentries were eliminated without alarms. Garrisons never heard shots. Missions succeeded that previously would have failed. Burma, psychological warfare. In Burma, the weapon's true impact became clear. British snipers positioned themselves along jungle roads. Each passing truck lost a soldier, sometimes several. No sound. No muzzle flash. No understanding of what was happening. Japanese units stopped believing they were under fire. Men died without explanation. The psychological toll was immense. OSS and Jedburgh operations. OSS Captain Mitchell Werebell later recalled, "They were better than anything we were issued." Jedburgh teams used them in Europe. Merrill's Marauders employed them in night ambushes. American Commander E. Michael Burke recorded confirmed officer kills using a de Lisle in 1944. Post-war service. Despite its secrecy, the de Lisle didn't vanish after 1945. Korean War Milan Emergency, 1948 to 1960. Major Ian McKay wrote in 1955. There was no bang whatsoever, just the click of the firing pin and the thump of impact. In jungle conditions, the weapon was effectively invisible. How quiet was it, really? De Lisle, 85.5 dB modern suppressed pistols, 117 to 140 dB. Even today, Few shoulder-fired weapons match it. Only designs like the MP5SD or AS-Val come close, and both owe conceptual debt to de Lisle's work. The weapon history forgot. Production ended in December 1945. Only 130 to 150 units were ever made. Records were destroyed by V-rocket attacks. Most carbines disappeared into classified armories. One surviving example rests at the Small Arms School Collection in Warminster. William Godfrey de Lisle never received public recognition. His weapon was too secret, too rare, too effective. Conclusion: the shot no one heard. March 1943. 7 rounds fired. No one heard a thing. One man's childhood experiments with cocoa tins became the quietest military rifle ever built. Where industrial giants failed, a single engineer succeeded. And the sentries who died never knew what killed them.